Wife had affair with family member. My wife of 16 years had an inappropriate relationship with my father's brother uncle for a 3-month period back in 2018. He worked his way into her life by essentially grooming her. Okay, I agree that seduced may have been the better word here. She trusted him, and ultimately opened up to him for advice, texting, emails, phone calls. Then he would throw in compliments and flirtatious comments. He convinced her they were soulmates. She was naive and took the bait. And before long they were meeting up, kissing, and later I came to find out getting more sexually active. No ex. Which is what I believe. I discovered this affair and confronted both of them. Big intervention between wife, uncle, my father, his brother, and my aunt uncle's wife. Kept it pretty quiet outside of this small group for obvious reasons: embarrassment factor and keeping people's reputations intact with rest of family. Wife and I did a lot of counseling, spoke with our priest, etc. Unfortunately last month I found another email, and discovered they had been secretly communicating for 2+ more years behind everyone's backs, early 2019 until July 2021, using apps like Telegram, burner emails, and secret photo apps. Apparently after a few months of no contact they relapsed. I kept quiet for 3 weeks observing behavior and confronted my wife with a letter telling me to come clean or we are done. She spilled the beans. While there was no admission of intercourse, there were more meetings, oral clarification, only once, and it was him to her, and various hookups during the days. Nights they could sneak off for a couple hours to see each other. They met only a handful of times over this 2-year period, at bars usually, and would get physical in the car afterwards. One time they met at a hotel, which is where the OS came into play. Lots and lots of texts and calls, phone XEU, and exchanging photos. COVID slowed them down some too. I confronted my uncle with this information. He denied until I had him pinned, and he confessed. He also told his wife, although he is lying about much of the physical stuff, calling my wife a liar, and his wife is actually believing him. My wife and I are separated and going through therapy, lots of it. We have 2 kids. I'm having a really hard time understanding how I can continue this marriage with so much betrayal and deceit. I know we can try, but I'm afraid I will be haunted by this forever and never trust again. The family aspect just magnifies the impact this is going to have on my life. Anyone out there experience anything like this? Seeking any words of wisdom? Know my wife has many great qualities and is otherwise a good person. She has just made some terrible, selfish, and stupid decisions. Adding more here, she is incredibly remorseful and a complete wreck, ashamed, disgusted at herself. She wants the marriage bad. Final comment: I figure we are over, but I don't make major decisions without knowing everything I can first. I have spoken with multiple attorneys and in getting a clear picture of what divorce will look like, alimony, etc. We are working with a mediator to draft terms of trial separation agreement. See where we stand after a couple months separated. In meantime, we are doing lots of therapy to understand why this happened and give me time to process. On fence. Oral X is X. They had intercourse. Don't kid yourself. Sorry this has happened to you. I would think another 2 years of cheating and lying to you, the divorce would be initiated. In fact, it should have been initiated 2 years ago. Sir, this is you uncle doing this. Your wife is a grown woman who chose to cheat. Stop making excuses for her. He didn't groom her FFS, she liked the attention and went with it. She doesn't love you or she would never have done it. She couldn't even stop when you found out. Your uncle is in the wrong, no doubt, but she is also to blame for her actions. She is the one who married you, not your uncle. She is the one who hid it from you while living with you. She chose to take every of the many steps to physical intimacy and then chose to give him oral X. She could have backed out any time and she never. Can you trust her again? Like ever? She can't even be trusted to not screw family, so friend etc. are going to be nothing to her. We are only treated how we allow ourselves to be treated. Your wife is not a good person. Sorry to say she didn't make a mistake once, she cried it on secretly for years. Just remember there are some who thought Hitler was a nice guy too. Second story. My 27 male girlfriend, 25 female, and I agreed to let each other do whatever we wanted for our bachelorette parties. She ended up having a threesome. I don't know how to feel about it. What do I do? Advice: self. Surviving Infidelity. Submitted 7 months ago by Throreau to our Surviving Infidelity. My girlfriend and I are getting married next month. We have been pretty excited about it. Planning is over and we have all of the fun stuff happening. A little while back we discussed what the boundaries are for our parties. We are of the same mindset that we should each be able to do whatever we want during our parties. It seemed to us as the last bit of freedom before marriage. We are purely monogamous. I figured that this meant we'd each go to a strip club or hire strippers or something of that sort. While we said that we could each do whatever we wanted, I didn't expect her to go to crazy. She can be freaky in bed at times, but a lot of our ex is vanilla. I've always seen her as a shy, religious girl. For mine, the plan was to buy a ton of alcohol and go to a friend's house, and they were going to hire a stripper. Well, the mic came up. We ended up having both of ours on the same night. Mine went exactly according to plan. Kinda early in the night my girlfriend was texting asking what we were doing. I told her and sent her a video of the stripper dancing on my friend. She thought it was funny. I asked what she was doing. I didn't hear back from her at all, but I did receive a Snapchat. I noticed that she was with 2 guys. I didn't see her friends anywhere in the picture. I tried asking what she was doing, but I didn't get a text back that night. The next morning I went over to her place to check on her and see if she was there. I went in and she was laying naked on the bed. I noticed her clothes on the floor. It wasn't how she normally would take them off and lay them down, plus she doesn't sleep naked. I got next to her and woke her up. I could tell she was still hungover. She was silent for a minute. I finally asked her what happened the night before. She still wasn't answering. Finally she said, "So don't be mad. You said I could do anything." She started explaining and said her and her friends went to a bar. She saw 2 cute guys that were flirting with her and buying her drinks. She ended up letting them take her to her place to hang out, and they eventually had a threesome with her. She explained that she knew it sounded crazy, but that I shouldn't be mad at her. I didn't know what to say. She reminded me that we spoke before and said nothing at all was off limits. I explained that I didn't know it meant that she would do this. She explained that she didn't see this as cheating, as it was our anything goes night. She said she wouldn't ever cheat on me or do anything like this again. I explained that I didn't think that anything meant having sex with someone else, since we were both committed to a monogamous relationship. It was just a one-night thing that we had already talked about. I agreed that she was right, but admitted to her that I was still hurt by it. She didn't seem to understand why I was hurt. I told her that I needed to leave and think about all of it. Since then I have texted her some. I'm just not sure what to do at this point. She is right. We did talk about it beforehand and I agreed that she could do anything. I just didn't know that she actually would do anything, especially have a threesome. I want to forgive her. I don't want to seem like I'm going back on what I said, but at the same time I feel like she really rested me by doing that. Should I ask her for a free pass for myself? What should I do? Too long didn't read my girlfriend and I had the agreement that we could each do whatever we wanted for our bachelor and bachelorette party. She ended up having a threesome. Third story. My beloved wife cheated on me and my daughter isn't mine. How can I move forward as well as shake angry feelings? Need support. This is gonna be a long one. My wife and I were married for 21 years. I figured it was one of those miracle marriages because we barely argued. Seemed I always be the best of friends, etc. Well, our 15-year-old daughter received a 23andMe thing for her birthday from a friend. And of course, it said we weren't related. She had me do a swab as well as her mother and her 14-year-old brother. Only her brother and I seemed to be related. So I did a paternity test afterwards and lo and behold, she wasn't my ducking child. My ex-wife cried and pleaded for me to hear her out, but I just went numb to her. It would be one thing to cheat, but to find out the light of my life isn't even to related to me killed me. Don't get me wrong. I love my daughter with all of my heart. She's still my daughter no matter what. But what's scaring me most is my seemingly vindictive desires. I've never been like this, and I know it's out of anger, but I want her to suffer so bad. The kids absolutely hate her, which on one end helps that desire, but I know that deep down, she is still their mother, and I don't really want them to hate her. Her parents and siblings all are mortified at her. Her sister hasn't spoken to her in a couple months. We all grew up together, so it hit hard for everyone. Again, this makes me feel great, which in turn scares me, because I don't actually want her life to go into shambles, but I can't help feel euphoric when I learn something in her life is falling apart. Both children are living with me, as they don't view their mother in a favorable light at all right now. I'm thinking about having the talk about them going to talk to her, because as of now, they refuse. The part that breaks my heart the most is that my daughter seems to be overcompensating her roles of a daughter. She makes sure to tell me how much she loves me, and is, in essence, being the perfect daughter, but I can tell it's because she knows that she isn't biologically mine, but she desperately wants me to know how much she values me. I'm actually going to talk to her tonight about that, to tell her that she doesn't have to act differently. I just really want to know how to shake the sadness and angry, vindictive feelings. I want to move forward as well as help my children move forward so they can worry about school and being teens. Please. Any advice will help. Too long didn't read. Wife of 21 years cheated on me and my 15-year-old daughter isn't mine. I've been having sadistic vindictive feelings towards her and I want to put those away as well as help my children move past it as well. Update. For some clarification, we did talk about it, and it was in the fair. I just didn't want to write that part out because it physically makes me shake with anger to talk about it. My daughter and I are both in therapy. I am taking the advice of my therapist and the many commenters on my last post, and am not going to force my kids to talk to their mother. They are old enough to understand the gravity of the situation and have their own feelings about it. Because of this, they will need to take their own time gathering up how they feel and dealing with it with any help they need from me. Of course, the pain my daughter is going through seems to have healed somewhat. I've gotten her to fully believe that my love for her will never change and that she will always be my daughter. Her pain seems not to be about our relationship anymore, but her newly found trust issues and trauma from the family being broken apart. She's also confided in me that she feels like it's all her fault, and that if she never brought the kid home, the family would still be together. I hugged her and let her know that none of this was her fault, and that she was only looking to do something fun with the family. She had no idea what would happen and that she should never blame herself. I've had one conversation with my soon-to-be ex-wife, in which she begged and pleaded with me to forgive her and that she would cherish me for the rest of her life. She said it was stupid, it meant nothing, and that she regrets it 100%. She also said that she believes our love can withstand it. I told her that if our love was that strong, she wouldn't have felt the need to find actual comfort in someone else. She is currently staying with her parents. I've communicated with her sister, and apparently she's borderline suicidal. They are trying to get her help, but she refuses, as the only thing she wants to do is see me and the children. Because of this, I'm waiting to serve her the divorce papers. I don't want to add on any more things to destroy her mental health. I've brought up talking to her with my son and daughter, to which they adamantly refused. I am going to respect their wishes and give them their own time to cope. I have this nagging feeling that she does not actually care about how it made any of us feel, and that she only cares about the fact that she's about to lose her picture-perfect family and the comfortable life that we had, and that it's her fault. I have no desires to try to fix the relationship and move forward. That's all for now. Too long didn't read. Daughter and I are in therapy. Kids have no desire to talk to their mom. Soon-to-be ex-wife is a wreck and refuses to get help. Update 2. It's been a long while, so I figured I'd give you guys one last update. My daughter is doing a lot better. Our relationship seems to actually have gotten stronger since this whole thing. And it's not even act. We hang out more and have a lot of heart-to-heart talks. She went to her mother's parents' house to see her mother. From what I heard, she mostly just talked to her grandparents and didn't say much to her mom. My son is also doing fine. His experience is different from daughter's because he actually is my child. He's still angry at his mom for betraying me, but he's coming around and talked to her more when they went to visit her. He's still hesitant, because he's a protective little brother and hates that his sis felt awful. I actually give him credit for keeping her sane. He talked to her, went on walks with her, and he didn't give up on her. I told him I was proud of him for sticking by her side. I also talked to him about how he feels because I realized that during all of this, I kind of dismissed him since he was my bio child. But he's going through his stuff too, and we have many talks now, and he's in IC. As for my wife, I tried to do MC to see if there was any hope. I tried to believe her that it was the only affair and that she didn't know she was carrying her child. But it didn't work out. I couldn't look at her or speak to her in MC. And when I did say something, it was just about how bad it made me feel. She would sob and beg on her knees, but it didn't change anything. I couldn't believe that she'd never cheated again. And I believe she knew it wasn't her child but just chose me because I was the safest bet. I'd been played like a fool and I'm done with it. I served her at her parents' house and she flew into hysterics. She screamed at the top of her lungs on the ground. I couldn't understand a word she was saying, but I just felt numb to it. Her mother tried to beg me to forgive her, but her father just walked me out to the front, and without saying a word, gave me a firm handshake and nod with a face that said I understand completely. We got into contact with my daughter's her bio dad and got his medical info. She said she doesn't want anything to do with him because she already has a dad. I'm not gonna try to talk her out of it either, though. I have a fear that she'll want to contact him one day and become very close with him, and that'll fade out, but I try to push that to the back of my mind and only let it out during IC. That's where we are now. Me and the kids are trying our best to push through. This will most likely be the last update unless something big happens, which I doubt. Thank you to everyone who helped me and checked up on me. I really appreciate all the help and advice. Like you said, I was the safest bet. Paternity fraud. More powerful than love. You were correct to have her serve the divorce papers. Big sister, little brother are bonding stronger than ever with you in the middle. You sir have done an amazing job. Keep it going. Also do encourage you children to re-bond with their mother at some point in life. The mother still loves them dearly. Her mother tried to beg me to forgive her, but as you have already established, you are not taking the soon-to-be ex-wife, so forgive her if you want to move on. Your former father-in-law is an outstanding man. He understood where you were coming from. He would not tolerate this kind of behavior if it had happened to him. Kudos to him. If at some point in life that your daughter wants to seek out bio father, then let her know that you will support her. This is going to be difficult for you, but do respect her decision. You will never fade from your children's lives. Please stop doubting yourself. Rid of this vile thought. As for your soon-to-be ex-wife, her perfect family was merely a 15-year fantasy. Lived a 15-year-old lie. Now she will live the remainder of her life broken. Ashamed if she is. Live with her parents if they allow it. My God. Do I feel for her parents. Totally reasonable to divorce. Besides the affair, paternity fraud is really one of the worst things you could do to anyone. I have read a few stories like this. I don't think I have ever read one where they stayed together. You will be okay. You seem to know who you are. Eventually you will move on. And more than likely so will your ex-wife. I think you're right with what you said. I think in your other thread, part of all this emotion is her fear of the unknown. This is truly a sad story. What a terrible waste. But I guess the silver lining is your daughter. One piece of advice I might give is, you said that your daughter had a time where she was overcompensating because she was worried that you might blame her or you guys drifting apart. Now you are feeling that way. Maybe you two should get some IC about this together and talk about it. Your daughter is a victim in this too. Part of her identity was changed overnight. Infidelity is the worst. Hit like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing to our channel.